Hello everybody, we are going to be continuing on with our Champions Cup series where we review each and every NHL season and what happened since the league has formed. Of course, before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you here along the way as I try to do this as a career. Now let's get into this season and this season recap, the 1923-24 season, and we are continuing on with it, and I know somebody commented that they liked it the other day, so thank you. Now we're going to be talking about this season, and this is where the Montreal Canadiens would go on to win their first Stanley Cup. But let's talk about how all that went down. So the season is the 7th campaign in NHL history, and it was kind of big for a variety of reasons. The biggest one people could argue is that the league finally talked about expanding into the US. Keep in touch for this, or keep up with this series for more on that. But yeah, so this is where they talked about expansion into America, and we will see what happens there. Of course, you probably know. But anyway, this was also the inaugural season for the Hart Trophy, which is, quote, trophy awarded to the player judged to be most valuable to his team, end quote, according to the NHL website. So just so you know, there's that. Although I thought that the selection was kind of weird when I went through it. Anyway, let's talk about the teams. Yet again, it was the Ottawa Senators who had the best 24-game season. Again, another 24-game season featuring 4 teams, but the Sens totally took it away for this. They go 16-8, and they were looking to win their 4th Stanley Cup in 5 seasons. The Montreal Canadiens, on the other hand, grabbed 2nd place as they went 13-11, actually a worse record than they had last year, but still, 2nd place gets you that spot to where you get to play a team like Ottawa in the NHL Championship. The Toronto St. Patrick's would finish 3rd with a record of 10-14, and for the 4th straight season in every year that they had existed as the Hamilton Tigers, they would go on to finish dead last, going 9-15, which actually is not bad for them. This was their best season ever up to this point. They had regularly gone like 6-18, so for them to go 9-15 was actually an improvement, even though they were still the worst team in the league again. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about the league's top scorer, which was Babe Dye. Yes, that's correct. I almost thought that I messed up the notes there, but he tallied 22 goals and 2 assists for 24 points in 22 games played in a rather quiet year for his standards. I think going back through this, he had 2 30-plus goal campaigns, so this was kind of a quietish year for him, so it's weird that he was the top scorer. But hey, 1923-24 leads us to some prizes. As for the first Hart Trophy winner, this was Frank Nighbor. I think that's how I'm saying his name. And the Senators is where he played. So a guy that, again, top scorer, and then we had the Hart Trophy there for Ottawa. Very successful year. You're not surprised in a 4-team league. And for Nighbor, he was known for his ability to limit opponents' opportunities to score, kind of the pioneer of a lot of poke checking. And he was also known for his leadership and just his Lady Byng-esque quality. I think he was actually the first player to win the Lady Byng. I'll have to go back and check for that. As for the NHL Championship, we saw the Habs look to dethrone the Senators in a 2-game total goal series, just like last season where Montreal squared off against Ottawa. And it went like this. Game 1, 1-0 Montreal, very close game, as close as it can get, and Montreal had a 1-goal lead. Game 2, Montreal won again 4-2, so they ended up winning the 2-game total goal series 5-2, and really just took the legs out from the Senators, who were looking to capture their 4th championship in 5 seasons for the NHL and the Stanley Cup. From there on, things would get interesting as Montreal owner/coach wanted the winner of the Pacific Coast Hockey Association, PCHA, the Vancouver Maroons, and the Western Canada Hockey League, WCHL, the Calgary Tigers, to have to play each other for the right to play Montreal in the Stanley Cup final. Considering that the leagues played the Cup last year, and the NHL had really just owned the PCHA since the NHL had formed, I'm not totally surprised by this, but the PCHA president, Frank Patrick, was like, no, we're not going to do it, and there's no discussing that. So Montreal got to play the St. Patrick's, not the St. Patrick's, the league champs, the Maroons, PCHL Maroons, had a typo there, and proceeded to sweep them in a best-of-3 series, Game 1 being 5-2 Montreal, and Game 2 being 2-1. Also Montreal. So there you go. Frank was not very happy about the idea that they would suggest it, but again, the Maroons were not there to show up, and I think after this season the PCHA folded, but the Maroons and the Metropolitans ended up joining the WCHL the next season. We're going to talk about that though, so you're going to have to keep up with it. And then the Calgary Tigers got the right to play Montreal for the Stanley Cup. This one was interesting because this was a best-of-3 series, and the first game was played in Montreal. The second game was actually moved to Ottawa because of ice conditions, on-ice conditions, for the Montreal Royal Mount Arena, I think is what it was called. And so the first game went like this, 6-0 Montreal. Boom, just like that. Now, of course, it's not a total goal series, so it doesn't matter as much if you get thumped, but kind of just makes me laugh considering that neither of the leagues wanted to play each other for the right to play an NHL team for the Cup. And then game 2, Montreal wins again, of course, sweeping the series. They win 3-0, and they hoist, I should say, their first Stanley Cup in the NHL area, and it's actually their first Stanley Cup since the 1916 season. Would this be the first that they would hold? Of course. Will there be others to come? I think you know the answer, but find out and tune in for more videos. Hopefully it's a little bit more polished. But anyway, if you liked this video, if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like it and subscribe if you're new. Everybody, please stay safe, have a great night, and you go love hockey all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.